Thank you for joining us in this section of mortgagenavigation.com. We're going to be discussing the Request for Mortgage Assistance, also known as the RMA Form. You may have had this form sent to you by your mortgage servicer, or you may have downloaded it from makinghomesaffordable.com. There are two different types. There is a 7-page form and a 5-page form. For the most part, the information that we're going to be looking at today is going to be on both forms. There's just a disclosure that is different on this page 7 versus the page 5. So let's go ahead and get started. Section number 1 on page 1 is your personal information. It's asking for borrower's name, social security number, date of birth, home phone number, cell phone, mailing address, and email address. If your mailing address is the same as the property address, go ahead and write that next to it, but fill it out anyways so that they can reference that on the first page on where to send your documents. In the middle part of this page, it's asking, has the borrower filed for bankruptcy? If you have, please check Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. You will need to know the date filed and the case number. So if you want to go ahead and grab your bankruptcy documents before you filled out this form so that you have it handy. Has your bankruptcy been discharged? This is important for them, so make sure that you check this box, because if not, they will kick your form back. Is the borrower a service member? If you have served in the military or your spouse has served in the military and they are also on the mortgage, make sure you check mark that. Have you been recently deployed away from your principal residence? This would be if you are in the military and you have served our country outside of your home area. You would check mark that box. How many single family properties other than your principal residence do you own? This would be rental properties, a secondary home, a vacation home, so any home that your name appears on title. Has the mortgage on your principal residence ever had a home affordable modification, trial period plan, or permanent modification? So if you started a trial payment with maybe even a previous servicer or the same servicer and now you're going back for a second request, please make sure to check mark yes on that box. Has the mortgage on any other property that you own had a permanent HAMP modification? If you have a rental property or if you're applying for a rental property and your permanent residence has had a modification, then you would mark yes for that box. Are you currently being considered for a trial payment on any other properties other than your principal residence? So if you have rental properties or a second home, vacation home that is currently being reviewed, you would check mark yes for that box. Moving on to section number 2. It's asking for a brief explanation and for you to check mark the area which most contributed to your hardship. So this would be either your household income has been reduced, your expenses has increased for maybe medical reasons, you're unemployed, the debts are too excessive for your budget, or maybe your cash reserves just are not there. So you would check mark one of those boxes. And make sure that you fill out this explanation section. It's very important for you to give them at least 2 to 3 lines about what has transpired to make you ask for this request from them. Okay, moving on to page number 2. Up at the top here, it says, I am requesting mortgage assistance with my principal residence. Many people miss this because it's at the top of the page and it doesn't really stand out, so make sure you fill that out, yes or no. And if it is your principal residence, are you looking to keep the property and do some type of a modification, or are you looking to sell the property? You would fill out the property address and the loan number at the top. Other mortgages, so if you have a second mortgage on this, make sure that you fill out the lien holder's name and the loan number. Are there any homeowner associations? So if you are in a condo community, then you would check mark yes for this and fill out the monthly fee and whether or not the fees are current. The name and the address that the fees are paid to. Does the mortgage include taxes and insurance? Yes or no? If you don't know whether or not they do, take a look at your mortgage statement. You'll be able to find that information there. Annual homeowners insurance. If your mortgage insurance is included in your mortgage payments and your taxes are included in your mortgage payments, then you might have to go into your property tax bill or ask your insurance company to give you what your annual premium would be, and then go ahead and calculate that way. If you are asking for a request to sell the property and it's a short sale that you're requesting, then they're going to be asking whether or not the property is currently listed for sale. If it is, you would mark yes, and you would fill in the listing agent's information, the listing date, and whether or not there's an offer on the property. If you're requesting assistance with a property that is not your principal residence, then you would go ahead and fill out this middle section where it says principal residence servicer name. So this is for your primary home where you live. And you would include their phone number and whether or not the mortgage is current. And if it is not, how many months it is past due. Now, section number 4 is very important because this is where your servicer takes all of your debt to income ratios from, and they make your decision. They make a decision based on that information. So section number 4, going into the monthly household income. The monthly gross wages is your total combined wages before they take out any taxes. If you have overtime, this is aside from your regular pay, so your overtime, you would put that in there separately as a separate line item. If you have any type of self-employment income, if you maybe take care of children, if you maybe have an internet business or you sell Avon on the side, and you want to count that as self-employment income, you would put that in that section. If you're currently receiving unemployment income, that would be a separate line item. Social Security, food stamps, retirement income, child support, if you have any tips or commission type income, those are separate line items. Gross rents received. We get a lot of questions on the gross rents received. This would be for any properties, including the property that you are requesting assistance for. For example, if it's your principal residence and you happen to rent out a room to your brother, and your brother gives you $200 a month, well, you would fill out those $200 in this section where it says gross rents received. Any other income that you receive, you would want to go ahead and claim that income here. Now, a question that I get a lot is, well, I receive child support, but I don't count that towards the household income. That's okay. You don't have to actually claim that child support that you receive in this household income. Then you go ahead and total your gross income. And remember, this is before taxes. Moving on to the middle line here on your expenses, the first mortgage, principal, and interest payment only. In your mortgage statement, it will detail this. So if your taxes and your insurance is included, there will be a line item that'll say principal and interest. So that's what you enter here, not the combined amount, because moving down further, you can see that homeowners insurance and taxes are a separate line item. If you have a second mortgage, whether or not you're current on that mortgage, you want to go ahead and include that payment there for calculation purposes. If you have HOA or association fees, total up your credit cards, and that all goes into one item. Any child support that you're paying out. Now remember, you don't have to report the child support you have coming in, but if you're paying it out, it is an expense. Car payments, mortgage payments, on other properties. So if you have those rental properties, if you maybe have another home that in another state or something like that, you want to make sure that you give the total payment, including property taxes and insurance, the principal and the interest, okay? Now, other. A lot of times people will say, well, why isn't there a place for all of my other expenses, like my utilities, my cable, my phone bill, all those other good things, my, the payments that I make out to the gym. So we bundle all that into other. So go ahead and put all of your other expenses into this other section. Now, if you need help with this budget, make sure you visit mortgagenavigation.com because we have a budget worksheet, and there's a video on there on how to fill out that budget that will make filling this form much easier. Okay, moving on. Go ahead and expense that out here. Now, household assets. The first couple ones are kind of self-explanatory: checking accounts, saving accounts, CDs, stocks, other cash on hand, and the value of real estate other than the principal residence. It's important to understand that they will pull your credit history. So if you have accounts in other places, or if you have property somewhere else and you don't disclose it on this form, you run the risk of getting denied just for that purpose. So make sure that you are being truthful when you fill out this form. If you do have other assets, don't worry, it wouldn't necessarily exclude you because you do have other assets. So make sure you're filling out this as accurately as possible. Okay, moving on here to page number 3. This is the documentation for your income. So they're not requesting all of this information that they show here on the top of page 3. You just need to check mark the information that applies specifically to your situation. So for instance, if you have a regular full-time job, then you would mark here, do you earn a wage? So you would mark yes, the date that you were hired, and you would check mark the section next to it where it says for each borrower they need pay stubs. Okay, so you're basically check marking the things that apply to you. So some of these may apply, none of these may apply. So on the left-hand column, take a look there on the left column first, check mark what applies, and then take a look over on the left side and make sure you include all of the documents that is being requested for your situation. Okay, now section number 5, other properties owned. If you have other properties, make sure you fill out this information because again, they will double check. So you want to make sure that you are giving them the information that they're looking for from the beginning. So you fill out all the, it's self-explanatory, the property address, servicer name. You may have to get out those mortgage statements to fill this information out properly. Okay, now moving on to page number 4. On the top of page 4, I'm requesting assistance with a rental property. So it's a yes or no question. I'm requesting mortgage assistance with a second or seasonal home. So if it's either one of those, then you would check mark yes, and whether or not you want to keep the property or sell the property, and then it's going to ask for that information. Now, if both of these are no, you can check mark no, and then just go ahead and skip on to page number 5. Now, if you are requesting assistance with a rental property or a secondary home, then you do have to fill out page number 4, including the rental property certification. Make sure that you check the box if you are requesting assistance with a property that is not your primary residence. Make sure you check the box and you initial down at the bottom. Okay, moving on to page number 5. So page number 5 is basically what they call the Dodd-Frank certification. And the Dodd-Frank certification is important for you to read because it is saying that you have not been convicted of a felony, larceny, any money laundering, or tax evasion. Because these programs are sponsored by the government, they do make sure that there's nothing fraudulent in your past history that would exclude you from this program. So please take a second to read through the Dodd-Frank certification because you will be signing to it on the next page. Section 8 is basically asking for your demographics. If you do not wish to furnish this information, there is a box here that says, I do not wish to furnish this information. Do not worry about the section under that demographics where it says to be completed by interviewer. Just go ahead and leave all of that blank. Moving on to page number 6, and we're almost done here. Section number 9 is also a disclosure, so make sure you read through that disclosure. And it's basically, in essence, making sure that you understand that the information that you are providing is for the review of assistance and that the information that you have provided is correct. So make sure that you read through that, sign, put your social security number, don't forget your date of birth, and the current date. Do me a favor and go back through the whole thing all over again just to make sure that you marked all of the boxes that need to be checked, because forgetting to mark one little checkbox could be the difference of getting your request denied for a simple clerical error. So I hope this was helpful, and make sure to check out mortgagenavigation.com for more help.